Hello again, it's the Barefoot Defender here, Stephen Williford here, and today we have a really neat treat. We're going to look at some old lever action rifles, and we're going to kind of walk you through time in the lever action and where it is today, and we're going to start from kind of when they really started. And lever action started kind of in the metallic cartridge when it really first started cooking and making a difference. And the Civil War was where the first lever repeating Henry was introduced, and the Southern troops used to say, "That damn Yankee rifle, you load it on Sunday and shoot it all week long," because at that time everything was muzzle loading, and Henry Arms came out with a 44 rimfire cartridge that they would put in a Henry. And how many rounds did it hold?
16.
It held 16 rounds. And if you can imagine, everything else you would fire one time and then you're over here reloading. To have 16 rounds, even though it wasn't a really potent cartridge, the advantage of being able to just jack another round in and be back into action again, it was the assault rifle of the day if the media had its way, because it was just quick into action and it just revolutionized things. And then, you know, the natural progression of things went along, and we don't have an example of one of those today, but probably the oldest, and this is a remake of a model 1866 Winchester. And it even has a lock on the lever. But this one is chambered in 4440. And it's a saddle carbine. It came with the saddle ring, and really a nice rifle. This one was supplied to me by a friend of mine, Stuart Vickers. He does reenactments and stuff, and he likes his old style rifles. So the 1866 is probably the oldest design that we have on the table here today. And now I'm going to turn it over to my historian, my good friend, and I've been friends with James Davenport since high school, or before high school, junior high, 6th grade. So I'm going to turn it over to James to talk about his rifles.
All right, he was talking about the Henry rifle, and as he said, we don't have one here, but on the Henry, the magazine tube was completely exposed. You didn't have a forearm to it, and it loaded from a slot up here in the front. The front of the tube would slide over. You would push the follower all the way up, slide up, and you would put your rounds in, and then you could actually see the follower moving down as you fired, and you would have to move your hand plus the barrel got hot. So with the 66, what they did is they went to a side gate loading, which eliminated the problem of your follower being in the way, and they put a forearm on it, which was a great improvement. They kept the brass frame, and that kept on for a number of years. Eventually they switched over to an iron frame. Well, in 1873 they updated the design and came out with the 1873 Winchester, which is, a lot of people call it the gun that won the West. Improvements on it: you had a dust cover up here on top that automatically opened when you racked the slide or the lever. You had these side plates so you could easily get inside and work on the mechanism if you needed to. And this is a rifle with a 26-inch barrel, but it came as short as 18 inches. You could custom order them from the factory however you wanted to set up. Original chambering was at 4440, which Colt came out with an ingenious idea of chambering their peacemaker in the same caliber, so you could carry a rifle and a pistol and only have to carry one type of ammunition. That was the most popular chambering of it. Now,
put that over here.
as time went on, other manufacturers came out with Marlin was in particular, and in 1876 Winchester came out with another model which was a little bit bigger than the 73, could handle bigger cartridges, but nobody had one that could handle the government 4570, which was one of the most popular rounds in use. Marlin came out with one, and Winchester was starting to worry because they were eating into their market share. In 1885, a gunsmith from Utah by the name of John Moses Browning, you may have heard of him, he had sent to Winchester a design for a dropping block single shot rifle, which became the 1885 Winchester, which was a very popular rifle. So Winchester asked, by any chance, do you have any designs for a lever action? And John Moses Browning says, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And this became the 1886 Winchester. This is in 4570 government. It could handle bigger rounds, and it was a very popular gun. And he'd updated the mechanism, and what his big contribution was is when you open it, you have these two locking lugs back here. So when you close it, you have these two bars, and it can handle all the pressure from a bigger round and stuff. So he went on to design a model 1892, which was essentially just a smaller version of the 86 action. Then he came out with the 1894, which was the first lever action that could use smokeless ammo. And that became one of the iconic guns of all time. Just about every lever action you see in the old westerns is a model, either a Model 94 or a Model 95.
And I would say that this was my grandfather's rifle, passed down through my family. The 1894 was chambered in 30-30. The 30-30 cartridge in the 1894, if you tabulate all the deer killed in North America, it would be a running for probably one of the most, just because it's been around longest.
There's been more Model 94s sold than any other lever action in history. It was popular down in Mexico. In fact, during the Mexican Revolution, it was so popular in 30-30 that there's a song, Treinta Treinta, is still popular down in Mexico from the Mexican Revolution, singing the praises of the 30-30 Winchester. So, Savage got into the lever action game a little bit late, but they came out with the model 1895, which they updated to the model 1899, which we have here. And the original 99, like this one, instead of having a tube magazine like all the others, it has a rotary magazine. And that allows it to use pointed bullets, Spitzer bullets, which you can't use with a regular magazine. And kind of a neat thing about it is, since it's a rotary magazine, they just cut a little hole in the frame here and put in a little brass bullet counter, which I think is kind of neat. Over time, they updated the design, and they eventually went over to where they have a box magazine, the older ones and stuff, and they produced these all the way up until 2003. I'm going to turn it back over to Steven now, because when you start getting into the newer guns, I don't know as much.
This one was another one of my father's guns. This is a Model 39 Marlin 22. My father bought that. My dad was a southpaw. He was a left hand, and he always liked lever actions because they're essentially ambidextrous, you know. So Dad always, he bought a few of the lever actions and stuff, and it was just part of the deal. And he bought this, and this was one of the guns that my brother used to, I guess the first gun my brother used to carry and shoot when we were young. I had a bolt action Remington Model 513 Scoremaster, but this has killed many a rabbit and drug through a field, and it's a little bit rough. You know, my dad didn't have dehumidifiers in a safe and stuff, so it's a little bit rough, but that's okay. It's part of history. And then Winchester came out wanting the sporting rifle and known for lever actions. Winchester came out with a Model 88. What's cool about the Model 88, again, it has a detachable box style magazine. It was chambered in 308 variants. And so this one is actually a 243, which a 243 basically is a 308 case neck down to 24 caliber. And if you look close and focus, it's a really cool design because it has a rotating bolt that went kind of like an AR-15 or a more modern rifle. So as you bring the lever forward and it chambers, that bolt rotates and locks in, and that kind of gives you a little bit more accuracy and a better, tighter closed chamber. So it was a really innovative rifle, and I think they told me that Winchester stopped producing them because the cost of production was higher than the price that they could get for the rifle, and so they stopped producing them, and they've become really kind of collectible. And here we have a more modern Marlin, again supplied to us by Stuart Vickers. The Marlin is this one is chambered in 444, and 444 is another monster cartridge. It was designed, I guess, in the black powder era, and went right on into the smokeless powders and stuff. And I mean, you could kill anything, you know, hunt anything with a 444. And we're starting to get into more modern productions now, and so I really love the Henrys. I love the brass sides. I love the classic look of a Henry. And this particular one is a Henry in 4570. So I wanted the big boy, the 4570 caliber. You can shoot really heavy loads with it, and you know, if you're squeamish about recoil, it's got a brass plate on it. Every time I shoot this, the next day I end up with a little bluing on my shoulder. So it's a big caliber. You can basically hunt whatever you want with a 4570, and there's new loads from Hornady. You can get what they call Leverlution loads for it, and Leverlution loads have a soft pointed end so that when you load them in the tube, the recoil doesn't set off the round in front of it. Henry has recently come out with a side loading gate like we showed earlier, but normally the Henrys didn't have the side loading gate. They had a loading tube. So you basically open it up and slide the cartridges in, and then push the tube down around the cartridges and then action it. When I bought this one, I was considering the loading tube or the side loader, and with the side loader you can also load it through this, but Henry doesn't offer the octagon barrel. with the side gate loader. And I really wanted the octagon barrel because it's kind of classic. It puts weight out front and stuff. There's no real advantage to it other than just the classic look and the feel of an octagon barrel. Henry Arms also offers several different options right along with custom engraved rifles. This one is one that Henry Arms awarded me, and it's the Henry Arms All-American. On one side it's got the United States on it and it says God Bless America. On the opposite side it has the Liberty Bell and it also says God Bless America. On the buttstock it says, "Oh say can you see." It is the All-American, and this particular one is in 44 Magnum, and it's got the silver finish on it as opposed to the brass, and custom engraved, very, very high quality. Everything Henry Arms makes is absolutely made in America. They make 100% of the rifles here, and they make a very high quality. The action of a Henry rifle is just as smooth as you're going to get. Now we move on and we're going to go into a little bit more of a modern hunting style where we're using red dots now. And so this is another friend of mine, Travis Vickers. It is a Marlin, and it's in 44 Magnum, and he mounted a red dot on it, and it is a very good hunting rifle. You can use this one for hunting at shorter distances because it's not truly a rifle caliber, but the 44 Magnum is a great caliber for hunting at shorter distances, and you can take whitetail, coyotes, anything you want at a shorter range. And then when you want to get really modern, and I'm going to let a good friend of mine, Mike Jordan, step up and talk about the evolution of the levers.
Yeah, it's definitely an evolution. The big boys were introduced, I believe, in 2001, and they were very popular. You can see the one that Steven has. And then a few years back, they decided to get in with everyone else with technology, and so they developed the Big Boy X model. Big Boy X model had a big change. With the threaded barrel and the addition of a suppressor, you no longer have the ability to use the tube for loading. So they finally added a nifty loading gate. Makes life much easier so you can avoid the whole thing. And then of course with that they decided to add polymer stocks on it. Picatinny rail in the front, you can add a flashlight, M-lock mounts on it. You can add just about any addition you want to it. And what we put on this was a 6 Sauer Romeo 5 red dot, and it's chambered in 45 Colt, which 45 Colt is an old school round, but when put into a modern rifle, it really has the ump to do what you need to, whether it's hunting deer or just target practice. All around fun gun to have.
So that's it for our selection, what we could come together today. I think that is really cool, and for, like I say, we have some really oddball things like the Model 99s and the Model 88, and things you don't normally see. We're going to shoot some of these things, not all of them, but we're going to shoot some of them today, and we're going to have some fun. Now this is actually the very first time that I pulled the trigger on this rifle, so I'm hoping that it is at least close, and we'll see. I'm going to ring a few gongs with it. This one's in 357 Magnum. Gotta love it. It's taking the plates right off. Once again, thanks for watching. Join us again next episode with the Barefoot Defender. Always remember, subscribe, hit the notification button, give us a thumbs up if you like what you see. Hopefully we'll have some interesting guests coming and interesting topics. And I want to shout out again to True Ballistics, which sponsors my channel and makes it where I can afford to do this. Thank you for watching again, and have a blessed day.